Howdy, I'm Matt, and in this episode we are going to be looking at the Bonsai II wing because I feel, in my humble opinion, that they have, and I will get to they in a moment, have made a timeless classic bad. Well, they've basically ruined a timeless classic. I didn't believe it was possible to do it, but I'm afraid it has happened. So what are we talking about? The Bonsai wing is one of those timeless classic models which I'm sure many of you have owned. And to my delight, very recently we had a Bonsai II released with a carbon fibre mount, a little bit of carbon on the front, and currently only available as a plug and play kit from Hobby King. Okay, now some of you may also know this as the pop wing. For all intents and purposes, is exactly the same. So actually, on that note, for me saying it's exactly the same, it is exactly the bloody same as far as I can tell, with a few very minor tweaks. But they've managed to do it so badly. So here's the original Bonsai, and it's exactly the same. It's the same cut, everything. All they've done really is change the servo position, put a little bit of carbon on here, change the motor mount to a carbon motor mount. And by the way, those of you which noticed on the previous video is that no, the motor mount is it's the same distance back. So it's not the motor mount which is causing the CG issue, it's something else. Now there are two issues which I have with this wing, okay? The first one is to do with the components, and the second one is to do with the CG. And I will talk about the components and I will talk about the CG right now. The first one is the components. Now, in this kit, it's not a kit, okay? That's probably my biggest gripe, is that the original Bonsai you could buy as a kit and then choose your own servos and your own motor and ESC and receiver. And that was happy days, and it meant the kit was like 25 to 30 pounds, and it was great value for money. Whereas right now the Bonsai 2 is 50 quid, okay, so 20 pounds more, so another $30 or so more, and you don't get the choice of the components. You get the servos which they send you, the motor which they send you, and a not very good ESC. So my issue with that, the servos seem to be okay. Motor, well, it's doing alright for an 1808, which is a very odd size motor to say the least. Anyway, and it did come with a clockwise propeller when nearly all fixed wing models should be using a counterclockwise. That's the normal one, so they skimped out on that one. So my point here is that I do not like it as being right now. At the time of recording, we're forced to, and you're forced to, just buy a kit. Now the problem is well, it wouldn't be a problem if all the components of the part of the kit or the plug and play version were good. Servos are alright, the motor, like I said, was doing alright, but the ESC, now what I'll do is I'll put an insert somewhere in the video of what I ended up doing to my ESC, which was supplied with this kit. And the reason why I got to that point of absolute frustration is because it's a YEP ESC. Now, I've got a YEP ESC here and I've got a YEP Beck, and they both have worked fantastically well. Out of the box, not a problem, okay? However, when this one turned up, slow start was enabled. And what slow start is that it winds the propeller up slowly, and that's normally meant for a helicopter. So if you think about a helicopter, if you just normally had like full knacker on the sticks, you'd rip all the gears out by swinging great big blades around. So they have a slow start, which slowly winds up the propeller until it gets to a good speed, and then you can take off and off your toodles. But in a fixed wing like a Bonsai, well, you don't care. You just want knacker, no knacker, knacker, no knacker, knacker. And it was impossible. And I want to stress this. I checked the free files which was on the YEP ESC page on the Hobby King site. One of them is in French, which I translated, and it was still no use. And then I copied the URL of what Painless360 used as a reference on his video, and that still did not work. I wasted 20 minutes of my life yesterday dicking around with a stupid ESC to the point that I ended up smashing it with a breeze block.
And I will glue that back in.
You ready?
It's stuck to the other half. You broke the breeze block.
Utter piece of turd. Well, that does make me feel an awful lot better. I've broken half a breeze block. But that will save somebody else from the pain of having to program a completely awful ESC. And then I set fire to it, and then, and only then, did I feel happy about the scenario. Since then, I have then went on and I put a good known ESC, which is the, ironically, made by Hobby King, is a Turnigy Plush 18 amp ESC. Really good little ESC. I'll put a link to that in the video description. They are very, very good. Very simple to program. It doesn't come with a brake set by default, but it's in the first beat, all straightforwards. And yeah, works great. But the supplied ESC with this kit was absolutely terrible. Now, my other issue with this kit is that you will notice that these two servos are in two different positions. Okay, the issue is that I flew it a couple of times last night, just here out the front, and every single time it was grossly tail heavy, and then I had to stack that much lead on the nose. There's 4 pieces of lead on that nose. I don't know the exact weight, but and just to be for like 100% clarity, is that in my previous bonsai, I also used the same battery, and I had to have one little tiny bit of strip of lead on there just to hit CG. But 4 pieces of lead to hit the centre of gravity, that's not right. So I started to think about it, and like, what's changed between the first version and the Bonsai 2? Well, there's obviously added weight here because they've used carbon fibre for the motor mount. Now, that's fair enough. That motor mount looks a million times better. If I just do a quick comparison, there we go. Really nice and robust motor mount. Okay, we can't complain about the motor mount at all. It's much, much more beefier and will probably last much longer. And I don't get so much glue as on my wooden original one here as well. Yeah. So I'm not gonna bring that up as a point. What the issue is what they did is that they fiddled with the servo placement. So you'll see that the servos are well, compared to the original, they are further down the wing, and the reason why they've done that is so that they put the control surface in the middle of the wing. Okay, now my issue with that, well, no, I think it's a really good idea. Okay, having a control horn in the middle of a movable surface gives maximum deflection for both sides. You don't end up with bits bending at the end. The issue is that by moving the servos, even if you think the CG line is here, whereas it previously were there, they've been and moved it back, the centre of gravity back. That's why I've had to add so much weight to the nose. So I think this is a good idea. I totally understand the logic of it. The issue is that I've now gone from what was a really quite a light model to what is really quite a heavy model because the amount of bloody lead which I've had to stick on the nose. So what I've been and done this morning is I've been and removed the servo out of the original hole. So if I pull that out, I think I've put it in just the right place because those lines match up perfectly. I've just gone underneath the wooden plate of the servo very gingerly with a craft knife, and I took the screws out as well. I've managed to lose one already, brilliant. And what I've been and done is I put some masking tape down on here. I've got a set square so that we still take the same idea of what they've used here, because that was an issue with the original one, is that the control horns were always on a bit of an odd angle if you look at that. So it's on a skew, really it needed to be around like that. Okay, so that was the original. So they attempted to fix that in the Bonsai 2, but to be honest, I think they've gone a little bit too far. And by the way, if I was running, or you were running, a 1.3 3S battery in the nose, well, you won't have this issue because you'll have loads of weight in the nose. But no, I've got a dozen of these little 2S1000 packs which I want to use with this model. And I could previously with, just like I said, a tiny little bit of lead in the nose. So anyway, going back to my resolution. So what I've decided to do is move the servos down, okay, down the wing, so to bring them forwards in the CG, okay, to get that extra couple of grams as close to, if not in front of the CG. And how I've done that, I've been unpicked that one and pulled it out, used some masking tape, so you'll see that I've just put some tape on there. And then I've masked out where I've wanted it, and then I've been and cut the hole, lined it up, and of course I've done it right on the corner so it's repeatable on the opposite side, so when I unpick that one. And then the control horn, I've been and unpicked that out as well, and I'm going to go and get that glued in. Now before I glue it in, what I'm going to do is that once I've worked out where that's going to go, is that I am going to put a thin strip, not a rod, a strip of carbon fibre up on the underside of the actual elevon itself, so that we do transfer that movement in the elevon all the way along the actual elevon itself from the servo. So that is my plan to counteract the issues with this wing, which is, it's a centre of gravity issue. Like I said, it's two issues. A terrible ESC. Unfortunately, I'm going to say it was a bad choice on Hobby King's point, from Hobby King's point of view, because they've obviously chosen it because it was cheap. The thing is that it's so obscure, and I know many of you mentioned when I set fire to it in the previous video that, oh Matt, if you've got a programming card, they're really good ESCs. Well, no, I'm not buying a dedicated programming card for an obscure ESC, which I only ever own one other one, and that one works fine. I'm not buying it for something which I will never buy again, and I didn't want to buy in the first place. So anyway, ran over on that point. So the challenge here is to get the CG forward. So I'm going to do that in two different ways. Number one, I'm going to bring the servos forward. So the CG, apparently, I might be incorrect on this one, so I stand, obviously, if I'm wrong on this one. I did read it as to 140 millimeters from the nose, and that's about right. Once I put that much lead on there for the CG, which was just a touch nose heavy, it was flying great, okay? So I'm using 140 millimeters from the nose to hit the CG, or thereabouts, so we need to get the weight forward. So I'm going to do that in two ways. Number one, I'm going to move the servos, I'm going to bring them forward to a place which I perhaps might suggest that would have been the best place for them, and that's where I mentioned there's two companies at fault here. Number one is Hobby King for choosing such a terrible and absolutely awful ESC for this model. It has let them down terribly. And again, this is one of the nice things here, is that I bought this model out of my own money for my own abuses. This wasn't like a freebie sent for a review where we would have to like maybe dance around the topic. No, you've got me in the garden effing and blinded because I was so annoyed with it. And that's just the way it is. And this is the side of the fence which I really like to be on, and it's for exactly this reason. So, Hobby King, terrible ESC. So we got to point a finger at Hobby King. Bad ESC. Please change it, please. The other company which is at fault here is Tech One, which is actually it's not the Hobby King which makes this model. It's Tech One, which is a Chinese-based company, and they've obviously been screen printed it for requirements for Hobby King, and their servo placement was just wrong. Okay, I understand why you've done it. I completely get it. But in the reality is that to be able to compensate for a wide range of batteries is no. The placement's wrong. And this is why we had this discussion in the live unboxing, which I put a link to in the top right hand corner, is that there are benefits for it to be in the middle of the surface, but the negative to that is that you have pushed the CG back, and pushing that CG back has caused that much of an issue. As such, I'm not impressed, and this is why we're having this discussion at the workbench. So anyway, I'm going to be moving the servo forwards like I've done on that side, so I'll do the same from that side and put it over there. And on the back, what I'll do, I'll move the ESC forwards of this as well, and I'll see if I can bring it forwards a little bit too as well. I'll cut out some of this foam. Well, it's going to be a little bit of a challenge because you have some carbon fibre rod in there, so I'm going to have to be a little bit creative what I'm doing in there, but because I need to bring grams forwards, I need to bring weight forwards so that I can take, so it's just like a seesaw. So at the moment, she's got a bit of a fat kid on the back end, and we need to move the fat kid forwards a bit or set him on a diet so that we balance him out properly. And excuse them, not the mythology, the metaphor which I'm using there, but it's just the simplest way of explaining it is that we need a model which is nose heavy. We need to get things back in our favour, which is at the front of the model. So yeah, I'll move those forwards, and to be honest, like I said, I am expecting to have a little piece of lead on the nose, but frankly, the amount of lead which I had to stick on it yesterday was just an utter joke. And it's what drove me to make this video today, and I woke up this morning and I was just like really disappointed. And somebody, was it Scott on the Facebook group, said, "Do you want a hug?" And yeah, I was really disappointed. How can you make a timeless classic like the Bonsai bad? I didn't even know it was possible until I met this one. So yeah, I'm not that impressed. And look how much bloody lead's on there. That's a fair amount of grams. And of course that's wasted weights as well, just to balance it out. So anyway, grumble over. I'm off to go and fix this. And of course, if you own a Bonsai II, have you had similar issues? Do let me know down in the comments section underneath this video. I would love to hear your feedback, because I have, frankly, this morning, like I said, I woke up and I felt really disappointed about the Bonsai 2 just because of so many good memories which I've had with the Bonsai 1, and I was looking forward with the Bonsai 2, and I now feel like sad because I know other people are going to buy these and not have such a great experience as what I had with the 1. And that's where I need your point of view. This is where I need your input. Is that am I right? Am I wrong? That's basically what I'm asking for. If you own a Bonsai 2, do you or have you had the same issue when it comes to the centre of gravity? And you will know if you've got that issue because you stick the battery on and you balance it out, or if you didn't even bother doing that and then go to throw it, you'll end up with a model which is just like whoa, 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 and then it'll just tip stall on you. That's why I had to add so much lead to the nose to stop the blooming thing tip stalling to me. And no, that wasn't because I put loads of reflex in there. I had like literally a 1mm up bit in the reflex of the model. So sanity check is what I'm looking for here. If you own one of these, I would love to hear from you, to hear what you have to say about the Bonsai 2, because right now I feel that they have tampered with a timeless classic and made it worse, which is not a good thing for us as RC modelers. So with that said, I'm going to go on and get this one fixed, for me at least, and then we're going to go out and give it a chuck. I'm sure it's going to fly fantastically well once we've been modded. It's been modded and we've taken some of the weight off the nose. So remember to hit the subscribe button underneath this video. And of course, any questions or comments about the Bonsai 2 wing, or even the Bonsai, the original Bonsai, please just ask in the comments section underneath this video. Remember, all of these models are bought out of my own money for my own abuses. This is why sometimes I can get a little bit emotional about these models because I just paid 50 quid for this and it is not at my personal expectations level. So, hey ho, time for me to go. Thank you very much for taking the time to watch this episode, and I'll see you again shortly. From myself, Matt, cheerios!